This is Open Door with Vince Robinson. In-depth conversations with people who are making a difference in the lives of others here and around the world. Culture is at the heart of who you are. Know your culture, find yourself on Open Door with Vince Robinson.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another edition of Open Door with Vince Robinson right here on 95.9 FM, Cleveland's urban alternative. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Kim Essence Hunt Edge. She is an author, a spoken word artist, and a visual artist, and she'll be presenting 12 pieces of art in the gallery and auctioning a painting she created during the phenomenal performance by poet, author, and artist George Lee on October 4th at Larchmere Arts. She's one of the founding members of the legendary all-female spoken word group E.V.E. She's also a very gifted visual artist who uses her ability to bring to life canvas. Her poetry is poignant, precise, and insightful, and we are looking forward to bringing her to the stage and bringing her words to life. Without any further ado, Kim Essence Hunt Edge, how are you today?
Hey, I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing quite well and very happy to have this conversation with you. So this is kind of a reflective kind of show. So I want you to be able to tell your life story, but also we'll just mention, as I did at the top, that you will be at Larchmere Arts on the 1st of November. It's going to be a Saturday evening. So
yes,
we're looking forward to the performance. And this is also a solo exhibition for you. So you're going to have two things. And then you can also talk about your book, which I'm sure you will have for sale, or you at least be able to tell folks how to do that. So why don't we get that? We'll take care of that right off the bat. How can people reach you? Tell us about your book and how they can get it.
Okay, so right now the newest book is in the works. Hopefully by my deadline, I'm shooting for January, just before my birthday or around my birthday. So about January 6th, I will be doing a full book, and this book will include visual art and spoken word art. It's a labor of love. I have smaller chapbooks. I will have one available there on November 1st at Larchmere Arts for that show. So I will be having a small chapbook there in lieu to the prelude of my actual big book.
Okay. And so the big book, I'm assuming, will be on Amazon. And will it also be on a website that you create for it?
So right now it will probably be more me putting it out there and promoting it before I hit Amazon to see how it does. Right now they can reach me on, any platform. As far as my social media platform, my platform on IG is the one I most use, which will be Kim, and that's KYM _essence _Hunt Edge. So they can reach me there. Also Facebook, I'm on there as well, and that's Kim, of course, KYM Hunt Edge, actually Kim Essence Hunt Edge. And then also on TikTok, I will be launching my YouTube channel pretty soon. That'd probably be around January as well. That way you can see more spoken word, me performing on different stages in town and out of state.
Okay. So it sounds like to me you might be responsible for the publishing of your book. Would that be correct to assume?
So I'm looking at a couple people right now, as far as them publishing and then putting it out, but more than likely it will be self-published.
Yes. Well, there is an advantage to that because
yes,
you get a greater share of the profits.
That's right.
When you put it up on that Amazon website, they
want to tax some money on
they'll
you.
print it on demand, but they'll take a nice slice of your profit. So, it kind of goes back to that whole idea of back in the day, you would create a music product, you would put it on a cassette and you would sell it out the trunk of your car, but you made 100% of the profits, less the cost of your studio time and the cost of the cassette. So kudos to you for taking that approach, and I'm sure that it's going to work out for you. So
Thank you so
congratulations on
much.
that, and we'll look
Thank
forward
you.
to January when everything comes into fruition.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
so let's shift gears.
Hmm.
A lot of the people that I interview on this program are folks who are Cleveland residents. So if you would like to, you can give us an idea of your history in this area. And if you grew up somewhere else, let us know about that as well.
Ooh, so I'm born and raised here in Cleveland, Ohio. A lot of my youth was in the suburbs, Shaker, um, Warsville, Cleveland border area, and later years Maple. And I'm still currently residing in Maple Heights right now.
Okay. The Shaker experience is quite an interesting experience, because Shaker
Yes.
has that idea of affluence, but even within the Shaker school system, there was a certain level of discrimination that existed with the black students
Mm-hmm.
that were in the system.
Mm-hmm.
Did you experience any of that while you were in that position or in that place?
Not in the Shaker community at all. I would say more so when I went to college.
Mm-hmm.
So college, I went to Cleveland Institute of Art, Case Western, and back in the '90s, we had a lot of discrimination going against us. And within the artist realm that I was in, there was, I would say, a handful, probably about 7 or 8 of us black students in the art facility.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of things going on, especially when you're at a higher level of education. You start to see things, compared to when you were growing up. You're like, okay, I hear about this, but now to experience them, and you're now entering into that full realm of adulthood and independency, you wind up being subjected to it more.
So it
Hmm.
sounds like you said Cleveland Institute of Art and Case Western Reserve University. My assumption
Yes.
would be that you were studying visual art.
So there I was studying actual interior and graphics. So I had a double major and then a minor in art education.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. I think I saw a flyer that you may have created.
Oh man.
And I was like, wow, look at this. I'm the Canva type person. I'll use a template, but I saw that flyer and I was blown away. I'm like, whoever did this, I need to know. So if I'm speaking to the person who did it, then perhaps we should have an off-air conversation about how you can become involved in marketing for Larchmere Arts. So quite an impressive product. When
So,
did you get to a place where art was something that became important to you?
at a young age. Um, so my dad, rest in peace, he always had a passion for architecture. So he created a K house. So all of our names start with K. So my mom, my dad, and both my sisters, all of us have K names. And he designed this house, and it was in the shape of a K. So that piqued my interest, and he would talk about it. He said, "One day, I'm going to do this house." So I don't know where the image is, but it's visually embedded in my head. So I've never forgotten how it looked, and that was a passion of his. So I used to take his books or any book around the house and just doodle in them, and my mom and my dad would find out because they'd be reading the books and they'd look like, "Did you do that?" Yes. So my dad saw that I was always doodling around the house, taking their books, taking different pieces of paper, newspaper, anything I could get my hands on, and I would be, sketching. So back then there was a pamphlet that used to come out, and believe it was like a frog, or was it a turtle? Is it a turtle head or something like that? And it was more of an animated type. And he gave it to me. It was like, "Here, draw this. Let me see if you can draw this." I said, "This exact image?" He's like, "Yes." So there would be a box on the side of it, and you sketch it in that box. So I did it, and he was like, "Okay." So then he was like, well, let's see what you do. So he took me to School of Arts. School of Arts. I did the testing and everything. They came back, told him, well, actually, I don't think there's anything we can do for her. And I was like, I don't understand that. I say it's a school, so why not? It's like, she's pretty gifted. And I was like, what? So I kind of felt bad, like I didn't get into the school. So what does that mean? Can I not draw, or, they just don't want me? So I would look at that and I'm like, well, and my dad was like, that's just one door. He's like, so don't even worry about that door. He's like, go to the next one. He's like, keep drawing. He said, keep doing what you're doing. And then, at that age, I would start writing and didn't understand poetry. I would just write thoughts down. And from my thoughts, I would actually just make little short stories. And later on, as I was in college, George, that you mentioned before, George is my best friend. And us being in college together, we first met at a summer art program. And during that summer art program, we got really cool. And, first day doing orientation, in college, I'm sitting there by myself, nervous. I'm like, I don't know anybody. Next thing I know, I hear, Kim? I'm like, what? I look up, it's George. I'm like, hey. I was like, I got somebody I know. I said, I'm so happy. So from that day on, it's just been me and him side by side, going through art, going through life, loving, becoming, godparents to each other's children, and growing up together. And then we also wind up meeting our second year. We met Jeff Janis. So that's my other best friend. So Jeff Janis is a photographer, phenomenal photographer. He's been at your place as well doing the show. And it was us three constantly trying to figure out, hey, how can we make a mark in this art world? We all have the passion, we all have the gift and the talent for it. So where are we going to go from here next? I wind up leaving Case Western first because of the racism. It was just too much, to where my artwork would be stolen. I'll go back to get ready to have it reviewed, and it's gone. Because they would have these big public bins where we could dry big canvases, and I would go back and get my artwork. It's gone. I would be in figure drawing class, turn our projects in our portfolio, get my portfolio back after it's graded, and now I'm missing images. So now the teacher has taken a couple of my art pieces and now referring back to different classes and talking to students about, work that we've done, and using it as examples. So, but yeah, it growing up, it was at a young age where I started it, very young age. And thanks to my dad, he kept pushing me, saying, don't do it. Mom, on the other hand, was like, I don't know, she's not going to make a living off of being an artist. I'm like, watch me. So hearing the negative, it was constantly like, no, I'm going to do it. No, I'm going to do this. No, all the naysayers, you can stand behind me and watch me do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, and I applaud your father for encouraging you to pursue what your passion was, because a lot of times what parents will do is they will kind of steer their children into things that they think will be financially rewarding, because
That's right.
They want them to fit into the paradigm of go to school, get a job, get a good job so that you can pay the mortgage and the car note and all of that. But because you're not really connected to your purpose in life, it's a very unfulfilled life.
That's right. Right.
And there's also the false notion that if you're an artist, you have to starve. But on the other hand, if you look at one of the best investments that you can make right now is to invest in art. And I think that's one of the shortcomings in our community, because we don't see art as an investment. Today, you paint a painting, and tomorrow or 10 years down the road, because of who you are and what you've accomplished, that painting could be exponentially more than they actually paid for it.
That's
So
right.
I just need to make this point to those who are listening. You have to begin to see art as an investment and just not
Mm,
something that looks nice or something that you look at when you come into a gallery like Larchmere Arts and take a picture of what's on the wall and then go home with it and, look at the picture instead of having the actual picture hanging on your wall, collecting
hmm.
value as you own it. You hand it down to a generation that comes after you, and it's worth even more.
That's
Um,
right.
you talked about interior design, but you also
Mm.
said that you left Case. Is there a reason that you chose interior design and minored in art education?
So I started at Parsons in New York. And at that time, it was the height of the crack era. So New York was not for me. And being, I would say fresh and walking around New York, it was not for me. So, and I was going for fashion design. So I love fashion. I love anything that has to do with my hands. So I'm also a licensed cosmetologist, instructor, and you know manager. So that in lieu, anything that I could do with my hands, it just came natural. So with that, I was in New York, left for to do fashion, and just at that time with the crack era and things that was going on in New York at that time, I said, no, let me get back to Cleveland. Already had talked to Cleveland Institute of Art about coming there, because the summer program that I was in, the portfolio went to them first. So I had that shoe in. So I just literally called them, full ride scholarship, called them and was like, hey, I want to come home and I want to come here. So came back home and they didn't have the fashion program there. So I would have had to go to Kent. But in my research, I was looking at the top schools. So in being at the top school, Cleveland Institute of Art was one of them. So I was like, well, let me change my major. It's still dealing with fabrics. It's dealing with textile. It's dealing with the appearance of a structure, just like fashion. So I was like, well, let me dabble into this. I love, I used to always tell my mom when I was younger, well, how about we do this color in here, when she would get ready to change her house or paint the house. So it still came natural. And I went into that realm, but still wanted to be in the education aspect too, to educate other people of my descent, of color, of race, of creed, to make sure that they knew it. There's avenues in interior design as well as graphics. So I went on into that and love it. Even now, I in my later years, after I got I had got into a car accident. So I had just finished dealing with nursing school and physical therapy um, training. So I wind up being off work for a while, and I would go to Home Depot. And I'm like, this is kind of a cool place. They have a lot of trades going in and out of here. So I started in the flooring department there and start learning different things about aspects of flooring, the different types of flooring, carpeting, and I found out that there was a position as a designer getting ready to open. So I had became a flooring specialist at Home Depot, and only not even a full year being there, I wound up being a flooring specialist. With going into my second year there, I became their designer. Um, they send you out, train you, or what have you, to get used to their system, the 2020 system that they used to use there. Developed that, loved it. So my first kitchen design, and it was a nice project. I won't say the amount of money it was, but it was a nice project. Very first design. Wind up leaving, going on vacation. Gone during January. I'm on my birthday, January 6th. The kitchen sold. and they called me. I'm like, why is my job calling me? I'm sitting in actually I was in Vegas, sitting in Vegas, and my phone's ringing. I'm like, why are they calling me? What is wrong? Uh-oh. So I answered the phone, and they all, it was about a couple of them like, congratulations. That's like, okay. For what? You sold your first kitchen. I was like, what? And then from there, it just blossomed into a major love of just doing the design, creating somebody else's vision of what they wanted as far as their house. And then even there, I would give them information on color, challenges that they would have, and wind up giving information about how to do the interior. So from there, I left the Maple Home Depot, and the corporate heads wanted me to go over to Macedonia and started working out there, where I'm now doing bigger projects, bigger houses, so yeah, the love it's still there, and I still play around on my computer at home to keep myself abreast of what's going on with the computer technology of doing the design work. You have to stay on it, because once you do it, you're like, okay, I might lose this. So yeah, I kept doing it.
So
And that was like 2 years ago. I left Home Depot and said,
okay.
I'm stepping out. I'm about to do me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going back to my art. I'm going back to my poetry, because this is where I really found my love. This is where my happy place is. That's my home.
Yes.
Actually being in that creative realm of being on the stage, of doing my own artwork. And the biggest bug, I would say, towards the end of last year, was I got asked to do a mural at Frederick's Wine and Dine. Another best friend, I have 4 best friends. All of them are in the art realm somehow. So my female best friend, Melinda, who was in the group Drama from Cleveland with Gerald Levert, she's a singer. So she does accounting for Frederick's, and called me and was like, hey, do you know somebody who do murals? I was like, what are you talking about? I said, I do murals. So she's like, so I need you to call this, Fred Parks, call him and let him know that I sent you. I already told him about you, and he wants some murals done. He's redid his place. He's renovated it, and he wants some mural work. Went up there and spoke to him. He's like, I don't need to know anything else. When do you want to start? Told him my ideas. He wanted to do Bourbon Street on the biggest wall. So I gave him my ideas of how I would do it, and he said, just let me know when you're ready to start. Started that. So near completion of that, he called me. It's like, so I have another project. I said, okay, I'm interested. So would you want to do another mural above the stage? He's like, I want it to be more of Cleveland. I said, bet. So when I went to talk to him about that, I gave him my ideas, and listened to what he wanted. I said, well, I'll do a homage to Cleveland, because he wanted the view of coming down Kinsman, that view of downtown skyline. Mm-hmm. I said, I start taking photos of it, and, would look at the photos before, I sketched out everything I wanted to do. And I told him, I said, well, this is my idea, because that's a hard area to really capture. I said, especially with the traffic, you go, middle of the night, it's still hard to capture that view. I said, so how about I do, a montage of Cleveland where, it's like key points of Cleveland, the Cleveland sign, the chandelier, the statues on the bridge, the downtown bridge, the lit up blue bridge coming down there, the free stamp. So I took all of that and created it above the stage. And then finishing that, I thought I was in trouble, like I did something. Because anytime somebody was like, hey, tell Kim I need to see her, I'm like, uh-oh, what did I do now? So he's like, so would you mind doing the stage outside? So I wound up doing 3 murals, completed the last one just at the height of the summer. So wind up doing 3 murals there. And now I'm like, okay, now I am a muralist. That is under my belt now. I said, I've done it. I said, I'm ready to do more. So yeah, it's this just leaving Home Depot has really opened my eyes of what my capabilities are. You know.
So I have to say that my introduction did you absolutely no justice, because you just have so many slashes.
I am, and I do.
I mean,
Yes.
and to think that nurse was gonna be one of those.
Yeah. 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 And I'm like, nah, that's not me. And my mom was in the medical realm, and my older sister, she's a nurse. My second born son is a nurse. Um, yeah. So I'm like, no, I don't. This is not me. Yes, it's a 9 to 5. Yes, it's a paycheck. Yes, there's medical. But where is the underlining of my happiness? And
Yes.
that's not it. That wasn't it. So I'm
Well,
like, just
full
anything with the art.
full transparency. I just spent a couple of weeks in the hospital, and
Right.
I saw what nurses do. And
Yes.
on top of that, my mother is a retired registered nurse. She worked in the VA for
Mm.
years, first as an
Mm-hmm.
LPN, and then after 50, she became a registered nurse. So I'm so
Nice.
glad you decided not to travel down that road, because in so many ways, no disrespect, because I had some great nurses while I was in there, but they kind of like robots.
Right.
They did
And
you.
I think when I was doing the nursing, there was a resident, because I did more of the nursing home realm, and it was in Akron, and at this nursing home, and with having a background in cosmetology, I would have to do their nails, or make sure they were, especially the men, make sure they were shaven. There were two residents there. One was a male, one was a female. The male, he would refuse to have anyone care for him if I wasn't there. I'm like, you can't do that. You still have to get your daily care. He's like, I don't want nobody else to cut my hair. I don't want nobody else to give me my bath or my shower. He's like, you're so attentive. He's like, and you talk to us. He's like, you're not there just to be coming in the door and saying, okay, here, get this done. We got to move. We got to do, come on, take your meds. No, I'm like, no, you have to care. I'm like, I look at y'all like y'all are my parents, or if it was myself in these places, in these situations where I have to be cared for constantly. And the lady that was there had a very bad case of arthritis where her hands would literally be locked up. So I would come in, and she was like maybe my second resident during the day, every morning, and I would always massage her hands to try to get her to open them up. And when I wasn't there, she wouldn't let anybody touch her. She like, no. And she would have her little wig collection. She's like, and she wasn't very articulate. She had issues with that. And I would understand her, and she'd tell me which wig she want for the day. I'll get her clothes out, get her dressed. She's like, and then one day before I left, she's like, I love you. And I looked at her, I'm like, you said that so clear. I was like, oh my goodness, that's like, I love you too. I'm like, this is awesome. So yeah, I mean, it was a blessing to be able to experience that. But again, it still was not my love. It wasn't my passion. So I'm like, no, I can't do this. This is
Yes.
not for me.
Well,
And then I had a resident pass away on me, and I had to be there during his whole time of leaving. And I think that was my clear sign, like, nope, you can't do this.
yeah.
Because it's like, it's on your heart. And I'm like, no, this is not for me. I don't want to see this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult job, and I'd like to take this opportunity just to raise an important issue, and that is an initiative called Carolyn's Law. It's an initiative that calls for higher levels of staffing at nursing homes, because part of the problem is
Yes.
there aren't
It's
enough
lack of staffing.
nurses.
Yes.
And so the residents, they get the short end of the stick because they don't get the level of care that they should. So this is just a shout out to Jesse Ruffin and that initiative. If you hear anything about it, sign the petition so that they can get this on the ballot and pass a law that will require
sign, y'all.
Yeah, to sign it, get this law passed, because there's definitely some changes needed in that area. But I also want to point out that it seems as though you have a certain level of, and it's kind of like hyperactivity in terms of creativeness, because you're creative in so many different realms.
Yes.
Where do you think this comes from?
God. Because sometimes when I'm writing or when I'm painting or drawing, I have no idea. The idea is in my head, okay? But once I start creating either the words or that imagery, I have no idea where it's going. And I've just even getting these images ready for the show, I've astounded myself, and I'm like, wow, you did that, and you didn't know where you were going, But once my hands start moving, it's something else takes over, and it's not all me. I can't say it's all me. It's me, but it's not all me. It's a drive. It's that passion. And then when we spoke during the incubator conference, I was telling a story about my little sister passed, and we were 10 years different. And I still have her last message to me saying, because this is when I stepped away from Cleveland doing art and doing poetry, and was like, okay, let me focus on my kids. Let me focus on my marriage, and let me build that. Because just before I got married, my husband was doing, coming to a lot of the shows and seeing me. And this is just when I was starting to close E.V.E up. And, she was like, you need to be back out doing your art. You need to be doing your poetry. You need to be seen again. You need to be heard again. They need to see what you're doing. And every day I read her message, and that is part of my drive. And not only that, leaving my legacy behind for my kids to see and say, yeah, my mom did that. Yeah, my mom was on those stages. Yes, my mom opened up for these people. Yes, my mom became international and traveled out of the country to be on stages. She's been, with Music Song Child. She's been with Next. She's been with different people and have embraced them, and they've embraced her. Jessica Care Moore's, being around lively people and lively energy, that helps drive you, especially if you're in the right circle. You can't be isolating yourself and then think somebody is going to know who you are. You can't isolate yourself and say, okay, yeah, I have a name for myself. How do you have a name for yourself when no one knows you, because you've isolated yourself? So you have to be out there. Put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You don't have to put your 100% of everything you do out, especially with social media now. You don't have to put that all out there. My husband has asked me, it was some months back. He's like, I noticed you haven't posted a lot of pictures of us together. I said, because my platforms now is now involving me. My life before, growing up with you into the age we are now, is 12 years married. That time, I nurtured all of that then. I nurtured all the kids then. So yeah, all of us, the pic post and everything of us together doing this and traveling and no, it's me now. I had to learn to say, okay, now all my kids are grown.
Yes.
I have grandkids.
And something.
And what about me?
I think it's important for you to have that identity as an artist and not necessarily have it connected to something else. because
That's right.
I think what we tend to do with social media is we use
Put it
it
all out there.
to put, all your business out there,
Yep.
and your personal life is not necessarily relevant to your artist life.
That's right.
I
That's
want to
right.
I want to offer this to you, Kim, because the last question that I asked you about where it comes from, you said the absolute correct thing. The first thing that you said was God.
Yes.
And I have this
Yeah.
idea that I express this all the time. There's a big C creator, and then there are little C creators.
Yes.
And
I like that.
our little C creators are just basically us being reflections of the big C creator. The thing
that
is,
again, yeah.
we always want to externalize the supreme being, when in fact the supreme being is all of us combined.
That's right.
And so
That's right.
we have to learn to embrace the idea that we are all divine beings, that we have this aspect of us, and the evidence of that is the things that we create. So, you're doing poetry, you're doing the visual art, you do the cosmetology, you do all the things that you do, but all of those are a reflection of God that lives in you and expresses to you. I want to switch gears because we talked extensively about, your interior design and your visual art, but I've always been interested in, and I went online to see if I could find it. I couldn't find anything that talked about the group E.V.E. I know about it as an entity. I wasn't able to experience it to any great degree, although I do have memories of going to the Humidor and going to 6th Street Under and all of that. But I never really experienced you all. I think one time at the Humidor when it was right there at the corner of Lakeside and 6th Street. I think I may have witnessed you all one time. But I want to give you a chance to talk about the foundation of that group, the folks who were involved in it, and the trajectory that happened as a result of your connection to it.
Okay, so Eve was birthed through Black BPS, Black Poetic Society. Andrea, back then her name was Storm. Her pen name was Storm. And she came to me. At this time when she came to me, I was being looked at by New Urban Soul Essentials. And, talking to them about becoming part of their collective. And at that time, Black Poetics was not recruiting. And I've always wanted to be part of BPS. I'm like, they are so dope. I think there was a show they did where they were all making sounds with their mouth. And they were instruments. So even though the mouth was an instrument, but they were making instrumental sounds. And doing it as a collective, I was like, wow, that is so dope that y'all could all come together, be on one note, one accord, and do a whole show together and not miss a beat. And nobody was on paper, no phones then. It was all just a projection, their words, their artistry coming to life. And it was like you were visually seeing every instrument, and the projections of the instrument was crazy. And it just triggered. And once she approached me, she was like, well, I want to start an all-female group. And I was like, okay. She's like, I want to know if you would be involved. I was like, yeah, no doubt. So it was myself, her, and another young lady. I cannot remember this young lady's name. So it was 3 of us who started this. And from there, we had a big show at the Kiva at CSU. And back then in the 90s, the Black arts were taking off. You had Presser Pickett there. Tony Sias was involved in a lot of stuff. So with her pulling me into that, I got introduced into all of that. And all of those entities, and it just took off. So she decided she wanted to step away, and she was like, I'm just leaving it to you. You do what you need to do for it. I'm like, you're leaving me? So the other young lady had already, left within like a couple months of us starting it off. So it was just me and her. And then from there, she left maybe within maybe 6 months later. She was mostly focusing on Black Poetic and doing a lot of modeling back then. So it was like, now it's up to me. So I'm like, how do I have to navigate all these women? At that time, it was like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, about 4 of us. By the end of Eve in 2005 is when I shut down Eve. And there was a total of 23 women, not just located here in Cleveland. They were out of the state. They were, in different college campuses. So that evolved into a big blossom flower of womanhood. And me coaching them and getting ready for shows. Every show we did, we would have a show, maybe say 3 shows within the week. We would have 3 shows, but every show we did, even if it was home or away out of town, we would never repeat that show. So we had so much ammo to create different shows. We would have practice. During the practices, I tell them, okay, we have a gig here and this is what we're going to do. So pull out pieces that, this is where I want to, go on, and talk about suicide, talk about molestation, talk about real issues that women face, love, relationships, the lack thereof relationships, domestic violence. There was so many aspects and so many avenues. And with me being an artist, I would do props. I would make little cars. Like we had this one skit where we had a car made out of cardboard box. Would do like a DJ session where I was the actual DJ, doing it a live, we're doing a live broadcast and this is WEVE and we'll sit there and do that. So it was all, in lieu of acting these words out to get people to visually see what the imagery of the words are, not just say them. We want it to be a show, and every production, like I said, it never repeated. And a great group of women. You have your Keisha Nicole, you have your Eris, Zion Vinay, you have your Liberty. All these women came from E.V.E. There's a young lady named Coco. She's a ballet instructor, dance instructor, not just ballet. I'm talking about tap, jazz, modern dance. She instructs that. It was so many women, even vocalists, where they sang. We had a vocalist, we had a ballet dancer. So it was not just only words. We brought women of different caliber of talent, skills to the forefront and let them be seen, and that was one point in my life where I truly miss all of them and the sisterhood we had. You had chaos, female chaos, because you have a male chaos as well from Black Poetic, but we had the female chaos, and I would call her and Keisha Nicole my twin towers. And people would call us and pick which ones. And the majority of the time, it was literally myself, Zion Vinay, Keisha Nicole, Brandywine, Liberty, and Chaos, mainly out here on the circuit doing shows. So yeah, a wonderful sisterhood. A wonderful sisterhood.
Tell me what E.V.E. stands for.
E.V.E. stands for Eccentric Visions of evolution. I'm about to give you my business name, essential. So eccentric visions of evolution.
Okay, because
Is what the
again,
EVE
I was
stands for.
doing the internet search in hopes that I could find that. It's not there, but now we have
Yeah,
immortalized it in this
yeah.
recording, in this broadcast.
And our logo was actual because it was Eve, and I was like, well, we need a logo. So I wind up doing the Eve apple, making the apple as our logo in reference of Eve.
So a few moments ago, you mentioned some of the issues that women face. You talked about the domestic violence and all those other kinds of things. I know you've had some personal experiences in that, and I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that and the effect that it had on your art.
So let's start with the effect it had on my art. The effect it had on my art, all aspects, is it pushed me to let that be my sounding board, to write the things I've experienced, to write them into poem format, free verse poem. Also to visually, draw things that I would feel. That was my outlet. So it became my outlet, my nest egg, to not just carry the weight of things that I experienced in my head and in my heart. It allowed me to have that outlet to get it off of me. So that was the main thing. I am a child of molestation. I have experienced domestic violence. I have been raped. So I've had all those things, placed upon me, but being placed upon me doesn't mean I have to keep it harbored in me and on me. So I let it go and I put it into my art. I talked about it. I experienced it. Now let me tell somebody else. Somebody else maybe experienced the same things that I have experienced, and they may need that outlet to just hear it, to hear somebody else speak about it, and to say it is okay. It's not okay what happened, but it is okay to keep going, to keep thriving. Don't let it be a burden. Don't let it be a burden upon you. Escape from that. Don't let it trickle down into your next generation of you creating, that you've created as far as your children. Let it go. Let it, how they say, let go, let God. Let go, let God.
Yes.
God has you.
Right.
He has you. He has your front, back, side, your left, your back, your right. He has it. And for you to hold on to that, you would never be able to grow. You would never be able to heal. And my art and my poetry are my healing vessels. They are my healers.
Yeah, that's such an important word, because one of the things that I express as an advocate for the arts is the healing power that exists within it. We have this notion that racism is a public health crisis. And my thing is that one of the ways that we address this racism, and there are a lot of things that happen within the parameters of racism that usually has a detrimental impact on us, is that there has to be some type of a healing modality. And the healing doesn't necessarily come from the physicians, and it doesn't necessarily come from the pharmaceuticals. The healing
because
comes,
they don't really know you.
They don't.
They don't really know you.
They don't.
You know yourself.
Yes, they don't know you, but you know yourself. And what we do as artists is we create modalities of healing with the things that we share with the public. So I appreciate the fact that you shared that with us, and you said something else very important, and that is somebody will hear what you said, relate to what you said, say, I went through that, and it might be the impetus for them to seek some type of help so that they can deal with the trauma, recover from the trauma, and as you did, instead of just being a perpetual victim, you become a victor over the things that have happened to you. And not only that, you become an advocate for those who are seeking assistance. Before we get away from the interview, because time is just passing by so fast, you have a platform in which you do a poetry series where you have features and you have an open mic, and I want to give you an opportunity to promote that while we have a few moments.
The platform is called Lift Every Voice Open Mic. We do it every second and fourth Saturday of the month. It's in Bedford. Let me see if I can get the address. My brain. So with that, it's myself and two other partners. That's Sanchez, Black Rican, and Frost, who is, to piggyback on what you said earlier, who did the flyer. Now, I've done some of the flyers, like when he was able to do them, but that last flyer you saw that I had for our show coming November 1st, he is the one who's done it. He has a business called Sire Arts.
Okay.
And that's Frost.
Yeah, well,
so
Frost,
talk to him. If y'all need some graphic work, this man has a gift.
Yes.
And awesome visual artist as well. But and a poet. So yes, he is the one who does them flyers. And it's not just an open mic. We're a teaching base platform. So it's not just you're getting up there on that mic. We say if it's not a feature night, the second Saturday is the night you come and you practice. Get your practice in. We also do a performance workshop. We've started this. Our second one will be coming up next week. So after our feature day on the 25th, on the 26th, we have our performance workshop. Performance workshop is free. We do not charge for it. And we get you involved of, as you say, from pen to stage. We get you ready, get you more accustomed of being on stages, not just on mic, but to also learn to project, because not every place has a mic. So you will would need to learn how to breathe. You would need to learn how to project and not get tired, running these poems, because your energy is up high. And, that could be that trigger point where now I'm messing up because, I'm on these stages and all these people are looking at me like, oh, now I'm up here being judged and they the jury. No, you get yourself comfortable. And Sanchez Lewis is the one who started Lift Every Voice. And we have several members, all aspects, from DJs, tattoo artists now, visual artists. We have people who can sing. So it's a collective of us who've come together.
It sounds like it's a complete program. I just want to take one more opportunity to let folks know that you're going to be at Larchmere Arts on November 1st. So we're gonna post the information to Ink Therapy Studios so folks know where to go. And you said second and fourth Saturday, so that's out there. But on November 1st, they can
follow us on Lift Every Voice, Lift Every Voice Open Mic, all platforms. Okay. So just type that in and you can see what we're doing next.
Yes.
Definitely.
Lift Every Voice is the first 3 words of the African American national anthem. If you have any problems remembering that. November 1st, Larchmere Arts, 12726 Larchmere Boulevard. You can come through, see the solo exhibition, and it's 12 pieces. And then there's going to be a 13th
Might
piece.
Be more.
Well, the 13th piece is what I'm bringing in. I'm invoking this idea of 12 as the number and 13 being the lucky number, which gets characterized as an unlucky number. But once again, don't forget.
That's my favorite number, 13 and 7.
It's profound. So with that, I'd like to thank you for being my guest on Open Door, and we will look forward to your performance.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Just a note to the listeners, You can catch this broadcast on my YouTube channel, which is Vince Robinson. There's going to be a nice photograph of her as the thumbnail, so you'll be able to see her and you'll be able to hear this interview. When you get there, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that you get alerts when this broadcast becomes public. As always, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, make it a great day, Cleveland. Peace.